everyone, especially to my senior high school students, to teachers, and also to my subscribers. Again, this is Ma'am Catherine, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, actually, we're done with the first two lessons in 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world. We were able to identify the different historical periods in the Philippine literature and at the same time to determine a representative text and an author from one of the regions in our country. So before we get into the third lesson, let us first have a short recap or a quick review of our discussion last time. So please answer the following questions. Great job! You were able to review our past discussions, and I could see that you are now ready to have our next lesson. Before we get into the third lesson, let us first learn how to pronounce this word correctly. Is it genre, genre, or genre? It can be a little tricky, but it is actually pronounced as genre. It is because it comes from a French word spelled and read the same way. Genre. In French, this word means style or a type of. So instead of asking your friend, what type of book are you reading? You could actually ask, what genre is the book you are reading? Sounds fancy, right? Since we already discussed how literature has changed over time, in this lesson we are now going to identify the different contemporary literary genres used by 21st century writers at present. Most of these are familiar to you and probably you have come across them in social media nowadays. So, let's go!
For today's lesson, you are expected to first, differentiate the 21st century literary genres and the ones from the original genres. Second, enumerate the elements, structures, and traditions of each genre. And lastly, appreciate the unique features of each genre. The modern literary genres used by 21st century writers. First on our list is comic book. It is an excerpt from a larger, serialized narrative that is told via illustration. Famous comic book publishers include Archie, Marvel, and DC Comics. These contain excerpts from long-running narratives that can last for years or even decades. Second is graphic novel. Graphic novels are narratives in comic book formats. Graphic novels share all the key characteristics of traditional novels. It has clear beginning, middle, and end, essential narrative, character development, and personal journeys. So what is the difference between a comic book and a graphic novel? How to tell them apart? Graphic novels cover a wide array of genres and subject matters. Comic books may as well, but the subjects are often associated with or explained through the lens of superheroes or heightened realities. Graphic novels contain complete narratives. Since comic books come in series, it can be difficult to read a comic book if you haven't read the comic that comes directly before it in series. Lastly, comic books are produced with greater frequency than graphic novels, since they may be published in weekly or monthly basis. Next on our list is picture book. A picture book is a book typically for children in which the illustrations are as important as or more important than the words in telling the story. Picture books have traditionally been 32 pages long. Next are illustrated novels. This refers to an extended narrative with multiple images that, together with the text, produce meaning. Next is digifiction. It combines three media: book, movie or video, and internet website. To get the full story, students must engage in navigation, reading, viewing in all three forms. Patrick Carman's Skeleton Creek and Anthony Zwicker's Level 26 are examples. Next, manga. It is a Japanese word for comics. Some manga comics are typically adapted into animated series or movies. Manga stories are read from right to left and from top to bottom. Best examples of manga turned to animated series are Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece. Next is doodle fiction. The author incorporates doodle writing and drawings and handwritten graphics in place of the traditional font. Drawing enhances the story, often adding humorous elements. Examples include The Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kinney and Timmy Failure by Stefan Pastis. Next is very popular and all over the social media nowadays. Text talk novel. These are told in dialogues, simulating social network exchanges. These are often presented in screenshots of messages that form stories. Vince, Kath, and James by Jenna Ruth Almocera even had its film adaptation in 2016. Chick literature or chick lit. This addresses issues of modern womanhood, often humorously and lightheartedly. It typically features a female protagonist whose femininity is heavily thermalizing in the plot. Scarlett Bailey's The Night Before Christmas and Miranda Dickinson It Started With a Kiss are examples of this. Next is flash fiction. This is characterized by being very short, typically consisting of only a few hundred words. It is also called sudden fiction or microfiction. Let's take a look at these examples of a flash fiction. 6-word story. Probably the shortest of all the short stories if based on its word count. As the name goes, it has only 6 words but can amazingly tell a story. Now, please take note of the following 6-word stories. Creative nonfiction, also known as literary nonfiction or narrative nonfiction. It is also rooted in accurate fact but contrasts technical writing or journalism. 1000 Gifts by Anne Boskamp and Win Sand and Stars by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry are examples. Science fiction or sci-fi. This deals with imaginative concepts such as futuristic science and technology, space and time travel, a parallel universe, and extraterrestrial life. Examples include Suzanne Collins' Mockingjay and Veronica Roth's Divergent series, which are one of the most popular sci-fi turned into films. Web blogs. A website containing short articles called posts that are changed regularly. Some blogs are written by one person containing their own opinion, interests, and experiences, while others are written by different people. And lastly, hyperpoetry. This is a digital poetry that uses links using hypertext markup. It can either involve set of words, phrases, lines that are presented in variable order, or it can contain parts of the poem that move or mutate. Now, let us look at this hyperpoetry written by Lyra Kiel Pajarillo entitled Watch Me Weep, Butterflies.